What's up, horror fan? Welcome back to the channel. So for today's horror update, we have some information about the director Robert Eggers. Now, I'm sure many of you are fully aware NOSFERATU has been out now for roughly a couple weeks. We had a long runway of a year leading up to this film, whether it was behind the scenes photos. Then we started getting various posters, actually several posters, one for each character, one for Bill Skarsgård as Count Orlok, and his posters though were very mysterious. We never got to see what he looked like, and we've covered this topic, we've covered this film various times throughout the year leading up to its release, and now that it's finally released, we're starting to get what I always like, and you've heard me say it many times. We get those behind the scenes takes from the actors, the actresses, and obviously Robert Eggers, the director, who brought us this current iteration of NOSFERATU, and we started to find out, what other things he may have passed up on to do this, or other things he might have been trying to work on in the genre or in this space. And I'll keep saying it, I always find these things interesting, whether it's a few weeks after a film was released or years later when we start to find out more information about what was happening behind the scenes. And I thought this one was pretty interesting. Came up just a couple days ago, again on the heels of NOSFERATU releasing. I went and saw it just yesterday, and I will be doing a separate video just giving my quick review of it. So I won't go over any spoilers here on this video today. Won't be giving my take on it. If you want to see that, you want to hear what my thoughts are on it, check out that video. It will be up soon. But let's get into the article on this one and see what these details are about. NOSFERATU director once tried to make a Frankenstein movie. Robert Eggers gave up on his ill-fated journey after just 2 weeks. Now that's a bit surprising. I mean, considering what Robert Eggers has done as far as his body of work, and after seeing NOSFERATU, I think he could have made a great Frankenstein film. Now, I don't know if it was the character, the source material, he just couldn't get his arms wrapped around it to put into it what he wanted as far as what his vision was going to be, and then get that onto a feature film. Gave it 2 weeks, which is, again, very surprising. I would have thought maybe give it a little bit longer than 2 weeks. But we'll see what he says here in the article, or at least we'll see what this article covers. Robert Eggers has asserted himself as one of the modern cinema's most respected genre filmmakers. From his feature directorial debut, The Witch, to his most recent hit take on Dracula mythos, NOSFERATU, he has earned his place in horror history over the last decade. That being the case, one might be excited to learn that Eggers was, at one time, trying to make a Frankenstein movie. However, Eggers is to be taken at his word. It's probably best that he moved on from the project. In recent episode of Conversations at Curzon, Eggers was promoting NOSFERATU. During the conversation with host Douglas Greenwood, the Northman director revealed that he was at one point writing his own take on Mary Shelley's classic 1818 novel Frankenstein. Eggers abandoned the venture after just 2 weeks, though. Believing he had a dud on his hands, here's what he had to say about it. Sometimes you've got a dud. I'm super excited for Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein, but when my son was born, I had an unconscious urge. I'm sure because of that, I started to do Frankenstein after just 2 weeks. I was like, there's no way I can do this. So I'm glad that Guillermo is finally making it. So, I mean, that's, again, it's a bit disappointing. I'm curious. I'd be curious to know a bit more details as to why he felt what he was creating, for whether that was a script or whatever his idea was for Frankenstein, would be a dud or wouldn't be well received. Now, we've seen a little bit of Guillermo's Frankenstein film. We've seen a few behind-the-scenes films, but behind-the-scenes photos. But beyond that, we haven't seen anything from his take on Frankenstein. I am excited to see that. I can't wait till we get our first teaser, our first full trailer for that film. But again, I would like to have known a little bit more detail as to why Eggers would have thought what he was creating was a dud. Shelley's novel has been adapted many times over the years, most famously by director James Whale in the form of 1931's Frankenstein, which became a staple of classic Universal Monsters films. Many other directors have put their stamp on the material over the years with varying results. As Eggers alludes to, Guillermo del Toro has his long-awaited Frankenstein hitting theaters and Netflix later this year. Eggers, like so many of us, is very excited about the movie. He wasn't nearly as excited about his take on the material. When he pressed by Greenwood about his take, Eggers simply replied, "No comment," before adding, "It definitely sucked, I'll tell you that." While that may be hard to believe, the results was the same. Eggers eventually moved on to other projects. For what it's worth, everything worked out pretty well. Nosferatu has been making a killing at the box office and was met with praise by critics. The filmmaker was well suited to the material, it seems. Who knows, maybe as more time passes, he'll circle back around to Frankenstein's monster. For now, though, he seems pretty confident that this was the best left alone. Nosferatu is in theaters now. Of course, as we mentioned, it doesn't give us a lot of detail into his thought process as to why he would have felt his Frankenstein take would have been a dud, would have sucked and not been well liked. I think it's unfortunate because I do like Robert Eggers. I like his take on films. I like his photography. I like everything he brings to his style to film. I haven't seen a movie yet of his I didn't like. And again, I'll give my full take on Nosferatu in a separate video. But as it relates to Frankenstein, I don't think, as the article was mentioning, I don't think we will ever see a take from Robert Eggers on Frankenstein. I think this was probably a one and done for him, meaning he looked at the material, he tried to, put together a script or a story. It just wasn't working for him, and he's moved on. I don't think that we're going to come 5, 6, 7 years down the line, and he's going to come back and say, "Oh, I want to do a Frankenstein film." Now, it's possible it could happen, but I just don't see it happening. I think this might have been one of those cases where let's give it a try, didn't work out, I'm going to move on, and then that's where Nosferatu, came to be, right? He felt more comfortable with that material, felt more comfortable bringing that to the table and bringing that to a feature film. I mean, I'll say not a modern take, but a new iteration of Nosferatu. Disappointed that he gave up so quickly, disappointed that he felt the audience and fans wouldn't have enjoyed his take, but as it mentions, we are getting Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein this year. Hopefully that one will turn out to be a great film. I'm looking forward to it. It mentioned both theater and Netflix, so I'm wondering if it's going to be, which I haven't seen, if it's going to be a drop on both on the same day. It's going to drop in theaters and then drop on Netflix at the same time, or if it's just saying, hey, we're putting this out in theaters, but the streaming platform it will be released on after that will be Netflix. If it does a drop on both, I think that's a big disservice. I don't like seeing films, especially big budget films, go into theaters and go onto a streaming platform the same day. I think it just kills as far as what it can make at the box office. I can understand why you'd want to do that, just from a getting content onto your platform and getting more subscribers, but still give it some time in theater, let it gain some fanfare, let it gain some word of mouth if it's going to be a good film, and then give it, like a couple months before you put it on streaming. I mean, we've seen so many times where a film will either drop on the same day onto streaming, or within 2 or 3 weeks, it's already on a streaming platform. And I think the fans who would have gone and seen it in theaters are now going to say, well, if it's going to be on streaming in 2 or 3 weeks, I'll just wait then and save the money because I'm already paying a monthly fee for Netflix. Why spend money at the theater and for tickets, for concession stand, and going through all that, when I know in 2 or 3 weeks I can just watch it in the comfort of my own home and save a ton of money, right? I think your hardcore fans, though, will still go see it in theater. Like myself, I would still go see it in theater because these are the types of films I feel you need to see on the big screen just to get the full experience. And I think for Nosferatu, if you didn't go see it in theaters and it's something you want to see, don't wait for streaming, don't wait for POD, go see it on the big screen. I think, again, it's just one of those things you need to experience on a big screen just to get the full impact of this film. So just my opinion, I wish we could have seen Robert Eggers do Frankenstein. And if I'm wrong, in a few years and he decides to do it, I think that'll be great. But I don't have any hope that he will actually do one. So we'll find out. All right, everyone, that's going to do it for today's horror update. I just wanted to say a quick thank you to all the new subscribers to the channel. It is greatly appreciated. We are a growing channel. We're trying to put out daily content. So again, thank you so much. And if you haven't done so already, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let us know what you think. Do you think Robert Eggers could have created a great Frankenstein film? Or are you happy that he decided to pass on that, move on to Nosferatu? And if you haven't seen Nosferatu, go check it out. I would highly recommend you do so, especially one, if you're a fan of the material, and two, if you're just a horror fan in general. It is worth seeing on the big screen. Don't wait for streaming or POD. All right, everyone, that's going to do it for today, and we will see you at the next one. Peace.